I am here with Saba Heday, who is a very interesting person. I'm really glad she was willing to come on with me. So Saba started a bachelor's in science of electrical engineering, studying quantum mechanics, early quantum computers, and this is when she was 16 years old. And then achieved an MS in bioengineering, studying, among many things, computational methods to study the immune system. But then she fulfilled a dream she had since she was 9, dental school. And while becoming a doctor of dental surgery from the University of California in San Francisco, she studied a lot of subjects like laser bonding. So without further ado, thank you so much for your time, Saba. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on this, Joseph. You are a wonderful person. You have so many talents yourself. So when you list, my background, somebody should go ahead and list your background. Because you are an amazing, engineer. I mean, it's just so smart.
Thank you so much.
I feel like I'm your mother. I'm so proud.
Well, it is so great to have you on. And, if the viewers can't tell already, this is my dentist. I only see engineers for dentists.
And he has perfect teeth.
Thank you. I do floss every day, and it's finally started to pay off. I'm getting credit for it.
And I can see it. So thank you for that. When you come in like that, it just makes our job so much easier. So see, it's just, you make us proud.
So the lesson learned here is videos go better when you have good teeth.
That's true. That's definitely true. It does. Mm-hmm. Yes, the smile is actually the first thing that people notice when they see your face. They notice your smile more than your. They have that meme going around where the person is missing an eyebrow or an ear or a finger in the picture, but because they're missing a tooth, all you see is the missing tooth until somebody brings to your attention that, did you notice that person was missing an eyebrow?
Oh my goodness.
So the smile is really important. That's true. Yeah.
That's really good because there's a lot of other things that I prefer people don't notice about me. So
just make it bright. Nobody will notice anything else. That's true.
Absolutely. So you're an engineer and a dentist, and with your education and your career path, did you find one more challenging than the other, or what does your education look like, and what kind of puts you on the path?
Yeah. So when I was 9 years old, I went to an orthodontist office. I used to suck my thumb. So I had buck teeth. So I went to this orthodontist to get those fixed, and I wore retainers for a little bit. But the orthodontist, he was just so impersonable. He wouldn't even look at me in the eyes. So that was when I looked at my parents and I said, "Hey, I want to be a dentist," and they were thrilled. They're like, "Oh, great! Well, one knows what she's gonna do." So. Then, when I went to middle school, I was just I really enjoyed doing math. I was a really big nerd. So I studied a lot. I don't know why that was the only thing that drove me to get good grades. It was the best, endorphin for me to get an A+. So, I would leave my math homework or, practicing math for the last thing that I did during the night, because I knew I was really tired, but that wasn't a tiresome thing to do. So just looking at that, my dad is an engineer. So he said, just don't go just to dental school. Maybe just try to pursue engineering first. And that could be a great fallback if anything happens. So when I started college, I skipped high school and I started college at 16. The person that helped me a lot with that was my sister. She was 18. And she really helped me be on my side. I think it's not possible to do it usually if you don't have a mentor like that. So I started college when I was 16, and I wanted to do architecture. And then something happened, and then eventually I decided to become an electrical engineer, and my dad was very proud because he's an electronics engineer. So that's what he wanted us to do. So both her and I majored in electrical engineering, and I just love doing it. I just love learning it. It was, such a interesting subject. I mean, it's just everything that we deal with right now is what I was learning at the time. So in terms of the machines, the computers. But I worked for a summer internship at Honeywell, and it was a great opportunity for us to learn, but it was also a great kind of an experience to work in the field. And working in the field, I just knew this wasn't me. I love talking to people. I love seeing immediate results. Like what you do, Joseph, at your job, you help people in a big scale, but you don't see it immediately. You don't see that smile, or you don't when you get people out of pain or you create a beautiful smile. It's just immediately you just feel so happy for making somebody else happy. So I wasn't getting that. I wasn't getting that personal thing with engineering when I did the internship. So that's when I made my mind. I was like, I'm absolutely going to dental school. So I did a master's degree at ASU with Dr. Pizzicconi, was my mentor, and I couldn't ask for more. I mean, he was just so wonderful, and he knew what my goal was. So he knew that I'm applying for dental school. So with that, he created a program for me, just for me, where I would go to Arizona Dental School of Oral Health, ASDO, AT still, and he wanted me to kind of come up with ways to bridge engineering and dentistry, and also get an experience at dental school. So I would shadow dental students, third years. They hadn't even graduated the class back then. It was brand new, that school. So that was a great opportunity that he created for me. And while doing my master's degree, I applied for dental school, and I got into my goal for dental school, which was UCSF, University of California in San Francisco, because they have a really strong research program. And yeah, did the degree there, and got one of the best experiences living 4 years in San Francisco while doing it. So that's what happened. And then I did a year of residency in San Diego. So it was a good bridge between San Francisco, then San Diego, then come back to Arizona.
That's fantastic. With your background in engineering, do you feel like you have kind of an edge over other dentists that haven't studied engineering in any way? I mean, that's such an interesting combination.
Absolutely. I think the thing about it is that I don't use 4-year transfers when I'm doing dentistry. I don't use I don't go back to circuits, or the power classes that I took. None of those come in, honey. But it's not, when you do an engineering degree, and you're an engineer too, and you know it, you rarely use those knowledge that you got in your classes. What you're using is the way of thinking that you've gained. So even though I rarely use, I'm good at math, so that kind of helps with in dentistry, but besides that, I don't use any of those things that I've used. What I use is that ability to think a little bit different, to try to think out of the box. And if you have a problem, the problem solving is I think students in engineering schools get trained to solve problems through different ways. I mean, it could be, different kinds of problems, but the big picture is that this is a problem. And that's what you do at your, for example, at your work as well. They give you a problem. They say that we need this tool, make me this tool, and you have to come up with a solution for it. So it's the way of thinking. It's not that they taught you how to make this tool, or at your when you were getting your degree. So it has definitely made a big impact, kind of thinking bigger and having different ways to solve a problem.
I like what you say, thinking bigger. I have to think, as a doctor, you have to use a certain kind of reasoning where when you diagnose something, it could be all these possibilities, and I have to narrow it into one possibility. And as an engineer, especially when I focus on design, my channel's mostly design, you have all these possibilities that you have to narrow down into, what's the best design based on a wide range of criteria. And there's a lot of similarities there. And I think also there's a lot of diverging ways that you have to think that benefit the patient as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, you sometimes the solution that the patient needs for example, they say they can't financially afford something, then you have to come up with a creative way to create that, to make them comfortable, make them have a confident smile. And it's not, it's not something that, it's not your first choice. So that has really helped me kind of come up with that, planning for a patient, long-term, and what works, kind of thinking outside the box, basically.
One of the marriages between dentistry and engineering that comes to mind would be nitinol, because it's such an engineering material, but it seems like it's used in dentistry so commonly. It's like the perfect material for both engineers and dentists. If someone hasn't seen nitinol before, I'll splice in some nitinol videos here. How do you use nitinol, and is that kind of an interesting focal point between the two parts of your background?
Yeah, so that's a great. So I think it's a good start for you to. Can you give an example of what nitinol is used in the world? Like, what is the commonplace that people use nitinol? Can you explain that?
Yeah, that's great. So nitinol, they often call it memory metal, and it's when you can bend it in all different ways. And I think I'll probably have a video here where the viewer can see, but when it's exposed to the right temperature, it snaps back to its original shape. And it's used a lot in medical devices. They'll make its memory at like 98.6 so that it'll always try to retain its shape, but it's still flexible. And when I had braces, I remember that was the first time I've ever seen nitinol. The orthodontist folded up this nitinol wire and then held it under hot water, and it went boing right back to its original shape. I had no idea metal could do that until I'd seen that.
Yeah. So we use that a lot in nickel titanium. We use for in our endodontic work. So when we do root canals, the shape of the canal can be whatever. It can bend sometimes this way. Like, we don't know what shape it is. Canals are rarely just straight. So that's the biggest use that we have for it. So when we do a root canal, we use those materials. They didn't used to use those as much, and then they started adding that material in for even the rotaries. So we have hand files that, we use our tactile sense and we hand file the canal. And then we have the rotaries that we have a machine that, rotaries, and then it has reverse rotary as well, which is what I use. I use reverse rotary. And to go in there and clean out the canal, and the nitinol is used to those nickel titanium the files are used to clean out the canal, and they go whichever direction you want. So they're just amazing. Yeah,
that's incredible. Are there any other marriages between dentistry and engineering that you're like, oh wow, I've already got a background in this?
Yeah. So the funny thing that you say, Jordan and I were talking the other day about glide tooth floss and the PT, the what do you call it, the construction tape, they use it. So the PTFE. So we use that a lot to, like, for example, if we do an implant and we want to cover the screw, they realize that this construction tape basically is the best material to cover the screw, and then cover it up with some kind of material. So that way, if you want to retain the screw out of the implant again, it's not damaged and it doesn't attract bacteria. It's clean. It's easy to take out. It's easy to put in. It kind of, is wide, and then you can bunch it up to a very tight, compact thing that protects that screw. And then when you take it out, you just have to take out a string and it kind of opens up and comes out. So, that's what I was talking to, my husband the other day is an engineer, just like you. So, and we're thinking about, oh my gosh, all the applications that we can think about for this. We should sit down and talk about this, because it's such an amazing material that some material engineer came up with a long time ago at the company that you work at. So that's one of the things that I can think about, that, I think it could have a lot more applications than what we're using it for now. It's just a matter of somebody actually, sitting down and finding out what we can use it for.
Definitely. Now, you mentioned your husband, Jordan, that viewers may know. I'm kind of acquainted with your husband, too. He's just brilliantly amazing. And it really stood out to me when I learned that he chose the lighting fixtures for the office. So I don't know if you want to give us a tour and show us the lighting fixtures he picked out as well.
Yes, I will give you a tour shortly, actually. I'll show you all the little things and the lighting. The lighting pictures he picks out. He always amazes me how good of a taste he has. I mean, he chose me, so I shouldn't be amazed. But he has really good choice in aesthetics, and it just amazes me. So yeah, he helped out pick out the lighting fixtures, and we went to the paint store and we sat down, and the paint that you see back here is called cotton ball, and it has a little bit of blue in it. So, and you can't really see it. All it does, it highlights the wall. So we sat down, and he actually chose that color too. So he has a really good taste, but we all know that. But yeah, it's amazing that engineers, like the way that, again, it goes back to that way of thinking, the way that you guys are trained. Every time there is a problem, the solutions that are hit back, that's the thing that is amazing. It's a lot of times it's something that you wouldn't even imagine. Like at first you think to yourself, oh my gosh, that's so silly. That's the first thing that comes to your mind. And then slowly as you think about it, it kind of makes sense. And the more you delve into it and think about it, it actually is a great solution. So one example that I want to bring up is texting. I don't know if you remember back in the early 2000s when texting came about, a lot of people were like, what is this? Why should we text? We can just pick up the phone. Why did this person just text me, hey, how are you? I mean, we can just pick up the phone. This is not going to go anywhere. This is just a little fad. It's going to go away. But the people who thought, outside the box, they came up with this idea, and they're the ones who made it available to public and had that vision for it. And now most people don't like to even talk on the phone. They'd rather text. So because it's much more private, you can kind of filter what you're saying basically, and you have a record of it. So it's more fun to text rather than talk sometimes. So that's one thing that I want to say, thinking outside the box, is it just that texting comes to my mind, where a lot of people were hesitant and thinking that was a funny idea and it's not going to go anywhere, but some people had a vision. So
the way that new technology is adapted is so interesting to me, because that's such a perfect example of, you have a new technology that you don't think is going to catch, and then it explodes. And I think we text so much more than we call now. And I think about video conferencing like what we're doing right now. I can pick up my phone and I could just video someone, but so many times people don't use that technology because they don't want to be seen. But you kind of would have thought that, Star Trek in the 1950s, they were doing video calls on the Enterprise, and you'd have thought, oh man, the minute we could do it, we'd all be video conferencing. And it's interesting to me that so many technologies that we don't think are going to catch on get huge, and then so many that we think are going to be the thing just don't get popular.
Yeah, you cannot, that goes into sociology and kind of thinking about human mind. But it's kind of a, when you do think outside the box, a lot of times it's a hit and miss, right? So it's just giving it a chance, basically, having an open mind. And when you hear an idea that's outside the box, don't just throw it out. It's our human nature to be comfortable with what we have and what we know. But when you, especially when you get trained as an engineer, I think you'll learn that some of these new ideas that sound like they're ridiculous, they might actually be brilliant. That's the part that I always find amazing when I talk to, for example, Jordan, because it always amazes me how these ideas. At first, when he brings it up, it's like ridiculous, but then the second later, you're like, brilliant. So I think that's what it does when you train. When you get a certain kind of training, it's again, it's not the subject that you learn; it's the way of thinking that you're learning.
I think so too. When I think back on my math education, like what you said, I'm not doing differentials and integrals all the time, but I find myself often thinking about area under the curve and rates of change and things that go back to what I've learned in calculus class. And I really like the way you put it. You think differently when you've had this kind of education.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, like, you might not remember exact things. You might not remember, most of the things that you learn in college. And, but it's not about that. It's more than that when you get an education and trying to learn as much as possible. I had a saying that you try to obtain everything, and you might just obtain just a little bit of it, but try to obtain all the information that you can at college because, you're paying for that education. So just remember that too. You're paying it and you will pay it for years to come. So, so make sure you obtain as much as possible, obtain everything. And then just a little bit of it gets retained. So, and that little bit that gets retained actually makes you be so different than everybody else that doesn't have that information, that knowledge.
I love that view. Out of curiosity, I know that you've studied quantum mechanics, you've studied the immune system and laser bonding, been through dental school, you've done dental surgery. I mean, out of all of that, is there anything in your education that was particularly challenging?
Yes. So a good question. So when I was in, junior in electrical engineering, I got involved in the NASA space program. They had the student program at ASU, and I did that for, I think, almost a year. During one summer, I became like the project manager for like electrical power system for one of the satellites that was designed. And then they gave me this Mars sat. They said, "Hey, manage this too." And then they flew us to Pasadena to do jet propulsion to kind of present that. But working, even though I was studying and this was just something part-time, it was probably one of the most, stressful, high stress jobs. It wasn't really a job, it was an internship, but that I've ever experienced. I mean, the pace that these people were at, the amount of stress they were on, they were also like uptight. And they took it very seriously for a good reason. I mean, this is, a very important thing that goes up there. You don't want anything to go wrong. So, it was amazing to experience that because I was just like, wow, the amount of, they have to be like, everything has to be perfect. Like, if you say something that you don't know about, it would be like the end of the world. Like, you have to know everything about that subject that you're talking about before you talk about it. So that was one of the things that I think it was, it was high pressure. Then I went to dental school, and then dental school itself at first, when you go in there, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of, very intense education. When you dental or medical school, they're both kind of very, very intense education, because you're learning the science behind it. You're learning anatomy, physiology, and at the same time you're learning the skill. So it was very high pressure, but nothing had made me feel under that much pressure like when I worked at the NASA student program. I'm going to be honest, that was another level. So yeah.
That sounds out of this world.
Yes, it was. And when they canceled the NASA project, I shed a couple of tears almost, because it's amazing, like the things that they do. And they're having, the space program still is there, and we have different, ways of doing it now. There's a lot of private companies who are doing it, so which can be actually great. But it's definitely it's very smart people in there.
Are you allowed to tell us, were you working on electronics or quantum computing or something like that?
For that, we were designing 2 satellites, and one of them got canceled. one of them was supposed to go, it was called MarsSat. So it was supposed to get attached to the rocket that was going to Mars. And this was like 2000, year 2000, I think. So a long time ago. And the other one was a satellite that was supposed to go around the Earth. That one, I think, kept going after I was done with my internship. So that one was just gathering certain information, when it was released. I don't really remember, but that one I was involved in the electrical power system for it. So just designing the whatever electrical power system that we need.
Wow. Well, you've been all over. I think you've just about done it all with working on satellite design.
Yes, but that was a great question because it brought me back to probably the most intense thing that I did in my education.
Oh, man. Well, I can imagine that was really stressful. I mean, I think for a lot of engineering students, just the Baja team is stressful. I can't imagine going to space.
That's true. Yes, but it's all about. I think it's if any students ever watch this, it's all about finding what you're passionate about, and it might sound like a cliche, but it really is important that when you come to your work, there's a part of it that you enjoy. Whenever you do something for 5 days a week, you're gonna get tired of aspects of it. No matter how much passion you have for it. If you're an artist, you have so much passion for, like, I don't know, painting or playing the piano. If you do it 5 days a week to make ends meet, you're going to get tired of it. But you have to have enough passion where there's an aspect of it that gets you going, that makes you still do that for 20, 30 years, 40 years. So, and it's also important to remember when you start your career not to give yourself a break. Maybe not do it 5 days a week. Do something else to keep that passion going.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice. It kind of reminds me when you said that your dad was an electrical engineer and gave you the advice to have at least a good fallback with engineering. I was talking to a manager at an old place that I worked at, and he had given us some advice that if you don't know what to study and you can do math, study engineering. Because you can go the technical route, or engineers make good managers. It really is pretty wide open. And if you don't know what to study and you can't do math, then study business, because that will take you anywhere too.
Yes, absolutely. That's actually very good advice because they both train you in different ways to manage things. So absolutely, that's a great. I mean, a lot of actually dentists go and end up doing their MBA either during dental school. Not a lot of people during dental school. Some people do during dental school, and I've seen a lot of people who do it after dental school. They actually go and obtain their MBA because it gives you a different kind of thinking and different set of skills that you need to run a business. So, but yeah, yes, it was great advice to kind of, go do what you're good at, what we know you're good at. I mean, no kid knows they're good at dentistry. You don't bring a 10-year-old to do, an internship at a dental office. So you just there's a reason that you want to be a dentist. But there's no way for you to know if you like dentistry. But it's easy to know if you like engineering because math is a lot involved in it. So if you have that way of thinking, then you're going to at least be a good engineer. So that's another thing. But yeah, it's great advice you got as well. So, and I'm glad you followed it.
My uncle is a dentist. He's up in Ogden, Utah, and he said that he went into dentistry because he loved building model cars and model airplanes, and working with the really, really small stuff and those little details just was his favorite thing to do. So he said he felt he had a proclivity for dentistry, but it was teeth instead of models when he got older.
Yeah, and I bet he got exposed to it at some point. He went to probably his own dentist or something happened, and then clicked. The click happened. Like when I went to the orthodontist when I was 9, click happened that this is something I wanna do. But that's great. If you know how to work with small things, you can definitely be good at dentistry. That's true.
So when I look at the comments that I get from viewers, I get a lot of students and a lot of designers. I think we've covered a lot of the demographics that are watching, but we also get entrepreneurs on the channel. And I know that you're starting your own practice. I think that's a big deal. Do you have any advice for entrepreneurs, and what's it been like to do things from a business standpoint?
Well, one of the things about, and we were talking about this a few days ago, actually, with one of the friends, dentistry actually is one of the only fields that gives you most of the tools you need to create a business. As you know, you have the skills to run the business. Basically, is your education. Now, like if you're an engineer, for example, and you come up with an idea, and you have a product idea, going from that product idea to having your own business and company to sell that idea is a very big task. It's very hard. There's a lot of loops to go around. You need to find out like how to sell it, where to manufacture it, all these little things. But as dentists, because we are, our business is providing dentistry, all you need to do is call your accountant or call a broker, and the rest of it is history. So it just falls into place. So, we're lucky to have that. I mean, it's just most banks, there's dental specific, they just do dentistry, dental specific accountants, lawyers. So, it's much easier for dentists, I think, to have their own business compared to other fields. Like, as a lawyer, you have to be an associate for a long time. Maybe you become a partner and eventually, or, an accountant, same thing. Creating your own business is much more complicated. You have to be like a partner usually, and then kind of become a dentistry. You can become solo much easier. All those tools are out there for you. Now, after the reason I waited 10 years to have my own business, I've been practicing for about 10, 11 years. 11 years is because, I wanted to start 5 years out of dental school. Then I had kids. So that's another factor. You're a woman and you have to kind of have your family come first. So I had to wait for my kids to be at a certain age before we tackled this. And as soon as we did, though, we said, oh my gosh, we should have done this sooner. This is like, it's definitely been a blessing.
So, absolutely. And one other piece of advice, I think, for entrepreneurs, if you are doing bricks and mortar, call Saba's husband, who will pick out your lighting fixtures.
That's absolutely. He's got really good taste. You wouldn't think so, but he does.
That's awesome.
Whenever you're ready, I can give you a quick tour of the office too, actually, if whenever the time is right.
That sounds great. Let's do it.
Let's go around. Okay, so this is the logo wall. So they did a great job. This is this company called Signline, Carl Bredler. He made the sign out in the front. He made the logo and other things as well. So he did a beautiful job. We made the logo ourselves. We sent it to a company that throws ideas to you. So we drew it in a piece of paper and sent it over, and they just made it, nicer looking. And then this is how the logo came about. So, and then this is, I'm actually sitting in the front desk right now. Today is our close day. So I have the whole office to myself. So this is the front office, and we love this plaza. We live close by to here. We got married across the street. Like, we've loved this neighborhood for years now. So, and we saw these panes, window panes in the front and all around this plaza. It's just so beautiful. We're like, let's do it right here. So this is the lobby, and I'm gonna walk you to the lobby. So it kind of starts. So this is the front door. We kind of open it, and I wanted everything to kind of be open. Just, you already come to dentistry, you're probably a little stressed because you don't know what you're going to expect. So I thought I should make it just kind of calm and just an open environment so you feel more at ease. So we have, I took these pictures actually myself, and this is our neighborhood here when it snowed in 2020. That's Sedona. So I thought I should just put these up because it's us, it's Arizona, so it's our neighborhood. And this is the front lobby here. Just some TV and photos. The light fixtures that Jordan put. So these are the beautiful light fixtures, and you're going to see the other ones. Those ones are the highlights. So we're going to turn around, and this is the consultation room where, if you have any questions, you can always go in there and answer the questions. This is our guest bathroom, just in case you needed to see the bathroom. And then we go to the operatory. So let's show you the infamous light. Where is it? Right there. That's the one that he picked. So I love them. I mean, they complement the office so well. And you can see kind of two of them down the hallway. And this is our hygiene room. So you see it has the protection so nobody can see inside. But the courtyard outside here is so beautiful and so relaxing. And I just want to sit here and do a little meditation once in a while myself. But this is our operatory one. This is where we do the new patients usually. And this is our hygiene packs that I give them. It just has a natural bamboo toothbrush and tooth floss. And I give all my patients a coconut lip gloss to take home because we live in Arizona. And this is our operatory 2, where I got, everything that makes a dentist comfortable. So it's if I'm more comfortable, then I provide better care for the patients, and I'm able to do what I want to do. So I just got what I wanted, which is, makes my job easier, makes the assistant's job easier. So everything you see here is on a wish list for dentists. And I was able to do that. So this is up 1 and up 2, and it keeps going. So that's a little tour of the office.
It's a great office, and
back to the front. Thank you.
You have a great X-ray machine too. I don't think I've ever had X-ray.
Let me show you. This is, of course, I should show that. Well, we have a few kinds. So I have this thing here. It's called a Nomad. So this takes the X-ray, protects the system with that. So the field of radiation is very narrow, so they don't get exposed. It has lower radiation as well. So this is it's been great. I mean, they take such good quality radiographs as well. And then we also have so this thing here, it takes 2D and 3D. So if we need to do a cone beam CT of the face for implants, for, if we need to extract a wisdom tooth and we don't know where the nerve is, if you have a tooth that is abscessed, and sometimes in 2-dimensional images, you cannot see exactly where the abscess is. So you don't know if it's this tooth or that tooth. But when you take a 3-dimensional image, it's just clear right there. You can see it because you can kind of slice, it gives you slices of the face. So you can go slice by slice and you can see exactly where the abscess is, which tooth it is. And, it's a great diagnostic tool. So I was blessed to have a 3-dimensional cone beam CT as well. So we only do that for patients that we need to. We take their cone beam. And I wanted to show you something else as well. This is the sterilization room. And I do have the laser here. This is a soft tissue laser. And I use this for my patients who have periodontal issues, gum and bone issues. So I go in there to debride with that. So after I clean their teeth, I go in there with that and kind of make sure that it's all clean and it gives it a better chance to heal more effectively. And then we have a laboratory here to do all the fun lab works that I do on the side, the molding and the model makings. So that all happens there. So that's it. And there's more at the office too I'm probably missing, but that's the gist of it.
That's fantastic. So I'm going to be clear with the viewers. Saba's the best dentist I've ever had. If you are in the North Valley, I think you should sign up to see my favorite engineering dentist. How do people sign up and what kind of services do you offer?
So I do everything. So anything from just checkups and cleanings to crowns and veneers. I do smile consultations. So if you have ever wanted to there's been a wish list of you to get that smile to the next level, you can always get a consultation to find out what we can do. You can usually, I do offer Invisalign or the clear aligners. So we can do orthodontic work to get you there. And we do implants. I have an oral surgeon that I've worked with for the past 10 years. He comes in and places the implants for us. So I do fixed, what we call them all on 4 or all on X, fixed prostheses. So these are zirconia, basically looks like a big bridge that are held into the jaw with implants. He places the implants, then I have a lab that is dedicated for this procedure, and the lab actually comes in and custom makes those for the patients. So we do that even. So if you need, if your teeth at that point where they're not restorable anymore, and any of them, or you have had dentures and you're tired of them, then you can get that fixed prosthesis. We do snap-on dentures as well, of course, individual implants, any kind of, gum work, gum disease, and just normal dentistry as well. And I just love to see families and for them to come in and to keep their healthy, natural smile going. So. Absolutely.
Before we wrap up, I do have to ask, do you have any funny stories?
Funny stories. I guess this is kind of funny, but my kids are Irish twins. They were born a year apart. They're both due on Christmas Day. So they're both due on December 25th. One of them, December 25th, 2016, and the other one's December 25th, 2017. So, it's a joke on me, but I guess.
Well, Merry Christmas.
But they're wonderful because they're best friends. But yeah, if you are a dentist and you want to get a business going, have the kids early. Just have them boom boom get it done. Because this becomes your child. So you have to focus on this when they're a little older. So
that's
a joke on me. And if anybody wants to get in touch, we have a great website. You can actually book your appointments on the website. It's dynamitesmilesdentistry.com, or you can always give us a call 480-591-8111.
That sounds great. I'll have to add a funny story for myself too. I just read that there was a student dentist, where they treat people for free, and he was looking at the x-ray. He pulled the tooth that needed to come out, and he realized he was looking at the x-ray from the other side, and he pulled the wrong tooth.
Oh no!
He was about to freak out, and he examined the tooth, and it was actually a tooth that needed to come out anyway.
That is terrible.
Imagine the luck that you just pulled the wrong tooth and it actually was diseased. So.
Oh my gosh. I've heard stories of people doing like root canals or extractions on the wrong tooth. And I'm like, how does that even happen? But I can see it if you're like really stressed as a dental student. That is terrible. Well, I have some other kinds of funny stories, but we'll share that later.
Fair enough. Well, to everyone watching, thank you for watching this with us, and please visit Saba if you are in the Phoenix Valley. I don't think you'll regret it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.